Hey guys, and welcome back to a Wally modelling series. And before we get started, I just want to let you know about a couple of things. As you have probably noticed, my voice sounds a bit different because I have a cold. And also I moved house recently and I'm pretty close to a road. So if you hear any noises, I'm sorry about that, but I couldn't get rid of it. Hopefully with the audio editing I will be able to get rid of some of the noise and so on, because there is also like a school behind the house. So anyway, I kind of worked ahead again, and what I want you guys to do is before you watch this tutorial, I'll just show you the bits that we're gonna do, and I want you to go ahead and try to have a go at it and see if you can do these bits on your own. And if you can't, then you can obviously just come back and watch the tutorial and do it right next to me. So in this next couple of parts, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and create these buttons that are fairly simple. So it's just a cube, and obviously we added in the extra edge loops to hold its shape, and then we smoothen it. Now in this bit we added a couple of extra bits, so I added this panel that sits inside there, okay, to give it this these holes that we need. And I went ahead and made this little square and this button for Wally, and we also went ahead and created this grill, and all it is basically just cubed and just simple rectangular shapes that build up the grill. Okay, so this is what we've done. So I want you to go ahead and try to model these bits by yourself. Now we're gonna go ahead and make these bits, so I'm just gonna go ahead and get rid of all this that I just made. I'm gonna go ahead and select everything, and we're just gonna go ahead, edit, delete all by type history, just to hopefully will speed some things up. And I'm also gonna go ahead and turn off my head, my neck, and that's about it, just to save some performance. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and make the buttons that sit on top of this, which is going to be a fairly simple task. We can quite simply just make this live, so holding down space, make live. And what this will do is, now if I drag out a cube, it will drag it out on the shape instead of the grid. Okay, so just to make my life a little bit easier. And now I'm just going to mouse over this again, modify, make not live, so I turn that off. Quite simply all we're going to do is edit mesh, oops, I want that back on. And we're going to go ahead and insert some edge loops just so it can keep its shape once we go ahead and smooth this. Okay, so pretty straightforward stuff, nothing too complicated. And most of these little details are going to be quite easy, so that's why I said at the beginning that if you guys want to go ahead and try on your own, see how it works out, see what you guys learned so far actually working out. So now I'm just going to go ahead and smooth this, and it's looking pretty good. And now again, I'm just doing this by eye, so I'm going to go into my top view and going to go ahead and scale this up a tiny bit to about there. And then what we're going to do is hit Control D to duplicate, move it, and then hit Shift D to duplicate and move it apart the same distance. Now what I'm going to do is hit Control D with this, drag it to this side, and this one is a bit more squarish button, so I'm just going to scale it and put it there. Okay, so quite easy stuff. Now we're going to select all of these and just move them down to about there to give us them buttons that we need. Okay, so it's looking pretty good. Again, you can play around with this and make it a little bit more complicated. Now for this part, this panel that sits inside here, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and steal a piece of this just to make our life a little bit easier. So I'm going to hit Control D, move it up, and we're just going to go ahead and select these faces that we need. So we're going to need these faces, and then we're going to go ahead and delete the edge loops. So I'm going to go mesh, extract, and now I'm just going to go ahead and move this, modify center pivot so I can find my pivot, and I can't, but now you can just select that object and drag it out. And also what I'm going to do is select both of them, edit, delete all by type history, and now I can just get rid of this, and I'm going to find this in here and just drag it out of that group. I can delete that group because we don't need that anymore, and now we have this panel. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and delete these edge loops because we don't need them, like so, and then delete edge. Oops, I accidentally selected some of that body as well. There we go, delete edge, and now we got this panel that should be roughly the same size that we need it. So before we go ahead and put this in, what we're going to do is I'm just going to select this face and extrude it and drag out the thickness to about 0.1 probably will do. Yep, that looks about fine. And then as you can tell, we still have these edges on the side, so I'm just going to delete those, and there isn't any more anywhere else, so it's all good. So now what I'm going to do is we're going to go ahead and move this to the right place. So if I just go into my front view and drag it where it should be, roughly about there, and we're going to go ahead and scale it up just a tad, so it's going to sit inside that thing there. And now I'm just going to go ahead and move this in, so it's going to sit right about there, so you get this nice edge going around. And before we go ahead and add in the extra edge loops, we're going to go ahead and isolate this, and we're going to, well, not isolate, what we're going to do is we're just going to go ahead and add this piece to a new layer, which I have here, just a random one, and then we can turn off our body, and we can go ahead and add these buttons to that body layer as well. And this way we can go ahead, and before we add in the extra edge loops, we're just going to go ahead and add these cuts in that we need. Okay, so I'm going to use my insert edge loop tool, and we're going to need one about here, one about here, and then we'll need one there, need one here, and then now for the smaller cube, I'm in square, we're going to need one here, and here, and there, and there. Okay, so now that we have these, we're just going to select that and select these faces and delete them. And hopefully if this went according to plan, it didn't do it. So I'm going to select these faces again, hit delete, and then I'm going to select, I think it was these faces, and hit delete. Okay, so this is what it should be looking like. Maybe not. This is going to need another edge loop down here, so I'm just going to go ahead and add that. And now it's not going to go around because we deleted that, so we're just going to undo everything done now. And it still won't do it. There we go. So we need to get rid of that, and we need to get rid of these. Okay, now that's looking pretty good. That's how we wanted it. And now all we gotta do is fill in this gap that we have. It should be fairly simple. So I'm gonna select this edge loop to go around, double click, hit extrude, and it goes a bit funky, but that's alright if we turn down the offset here, and then do the thickness probably minus 0.1. As you can tell, I just extruded it to about there. So now all we gotta do is extrude, merge the vertices, and we're gonna do the same thing with this. hit extrude, turn down the offset to 0, and then thickness minus 0.1. And now if we just come around here, we can use our merge vertex tool and just snap these to where they need to be. This one snaps to that one. This one snaps to that. You snap to this. So here all we gotta do is just make sure that we merge up all the vertices. There we go. And I think that's the last one around here. Snap. Okay, and now we're just going to go ahead and do the same thing on this bottom bit. And there's on these top two words that we gotta do now. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. And just to make sure, what we're going to do is select the mesh and then go to mesh, clean up, apply to selected object, select matching polygons, faces in more than 4 sides, and hit apply. The result is 0, so we merged everything correctly. And now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and delete this edge loop and this edge loop because we don't need that anymore. And I think that's about it. And now all we gotta do is go ahead and add in the extra edge loop, so this will keep its shape once we go ahead and smooth this. Okay, so we're gonna need one around here. I need one going around here. And again, the fun of adding edge loops. Okay, so I think that's looking pretty good. I'm gonna need one going around here. And we're obviously going to need some on these inside edges. And again, don't worry about it too much. Just keep adding them in where you think you would need them. And then once you hit the smooth button, you'll be able to spot the ones that you left off. Okay, so it's not really rocket science. As long as you got the eye to spot once you smooth it, you should be able to spot where you left off the edge loops, because obviously it won't smooth properly. So you're going to need some going around here as well. Looking pretty good. And now we're going to do this side. It should be, most of it should be done. And again, sorry about my voice being all funky, but hopefully it's not that horrible. I think we added everything now. Ooh, not here. I'm gonna need some here and here. That one has it. I need one here. I need some there. Okay, so I think we added everything. I'm going to go ahead and smooth it and see how it looks. And it seems like we haven't forgotten anything. So that's all good. Maybe around here, this edge is too far away. So I'm just going to move it a little bit closer. Same with this one. Just going to drag it down a tad. Something's not right here. It might be too tight now. There's something definitely not smoothing right here, and I'm not quite sure what it is. Got an edge loop here. It should be smoothing correctly, unless I'm blind, which might very well be the case. Well, it looks alright from the distance. Okay, so we got this piece created. I'm gonna turn my body layer back on and see how it's looking, and I'm just gonna probably go ahead and drag this in a tiny bit more, and we might even go ahead and drag this up a tiny bit more. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. Actually we might even make it now. I think in this part we can now also go ahead and make this button, and then the next part we're going to go ahead and start creating this grill. So for this piece it's going to be fairly simple. We're going to again go ahead and modify make live, and we're going to go ahead and start off with a cube. So about there. And drag out a little bit of a height. I'm just going to go ahead and isolate so I can add in the edge loops that we need. As you can tell, I'm kind of rushing this as I normally do. You can just take your time and make sure these edge loops are in the right place, and then you should have a better result once you hit that smooth. So that's done. Come out of my isolate. I'm going to go ahead and drag this in. About there. And then we're going to go ahead and drag mouse over that, modify, make not live, and then we're going to go ahead and modify, make live on this. And we're going to go ahead and make a cylinder for a button. Probably about that big. Drag out height. And then again, I'm just going to go ahead and select this and isolate. I'm going to go ahead and select all these, so all the back, and hit extrude. And then we're going to go ahead and offset this a tiny bit. If I slow down my slider, like so, should be able to get pretty good edge around it, like so. And then we're going to go ahead and use our insert edge loop tool, put one in here, put one in there, hit smooth, come out of our isolation mode and drag this inside a tiny bit, so about there. And then we can come out, mouse over that cube, modify, make live. Done it wrong, make not live, and we have our button created there as well. So in the next part we're going to go ahead and create this grill, and then probably after that, just to add some more excitement to this, instead of doing this lower body part, we might go ahead and make the hand, because I think that would be more fun to do, and then after that we'll move on to the lower body part. Okay, so I'll see you guys in the next couple of parts.